Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John coming to you from All Saints Orthodox Church in Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. Today I'm talking about step number 22 on the ladder of divine ascent. And the topic of that chapter is vainglory and pride. Vainglory and pride, St. John of the ladder will tell us, are basically two different stages of the same passion. He says that vainglory is like a little boy and pride is like a full-grown man. Vainglory is like wheat and pride is like the full loaf of bread. So let's talk a little bit about that. First, I want to share a story that St. John relates. He says that he spoke with a monk who was a seer. He calls him a seer, somebody who is able to see the spiritual realm. And one day this monk was in the assembly of brothers, and it so happened that he saw that a demon came in the room and sat down next to him. It was the demon of vainglory, the one who would tempt him to be vainglorious. And then another one came in, sat on his other side, and this was the demon of pride. So here's what he says. He says, the demon of vainglory, poked me in the side with a finger of vainglory and urged me to relate some vision or labor which I had done in the desert. Right? He's tempting him to share a story about himself with the brothers so the brothers will think highly of him. He says, but as soon as I had shaken him off, saying, let them be turned back and confounded that desire evils for me, then the demon on my other side, that demon of pride, at once whispered in my ear, well done, you have become great by conquering my shameless mother vainglory. And so then he goes on to say that turning to him, I made apt use of the rest of the verse and said, let them be turned back straightway in shame that say unto me, well done, well done. So you can see here that vainglory then is this passion where we are tempted to glorify ourselves. It's a temptation for us to do things so that others will think highly of us, to glorify me instead of glorifying God. We might even do something thinking that we're doing it for righteousness, but then after we've done it, instead of keeping our secret and keeping our virtue hidden from men so that we might be glorified by God, eventually we share it and then we lose our reward, says St. John. And then, of course, the demon of pride is where we actually begin to believe that we are as good as we are trying to make others think that we are. And it's a delusion, So Lord, have mercy. He says also, vainglory makes those who are preferred proud and those who are slighted resentful. We know what it's like to be slighted, if not preferred. Some of us probably have been preferred, like brought up in the company and, getting promotions and making more money. And all of a sudden we feel like we're really on top of the world. And, I don't need to explain that any further. But then there is this, what about when we're slighted? I think most of us have been slighted. We've experienced what that's like, and it's a sad feeling. And if we let it get to us and we start to feel resentful about it, well then this slight that someone has put upon us now actually becomes for our destruction. Whereas if we're thankful to the brother or sister who has slighted us, then he says this. He says, when you hear that your neighbor or friend, or I'm going to add in spouse, has verbally abused you to your face or behind your back, then show love and praise them. Because St. John goes on to say that if we are, again, slighted or put down or something like that, and we receive it with a grateful heart, saying, this is the opportunity the Lord is giving me to receive this dishonor and to receive it with thankfulness and to receive it as a salve that we can apply to our wounded soul and find healing and humility. That actually that which someone else intended for evil then can be effectively for us a good. It will build us up spiritually. It sounds like a paradox, and it is really. But this idea, again, that when the world thinks that they are putting us in our place and putting us down, if we can receive that, as Christ received the nails on the cross, and he knew what was happening, he was being crucified for us and for the salvation of the world. And if we can willingly suffer for our neighbor, then God will use it for good and build us up. Hope that's clear. It's a very difficult chapter on pride and vainglory. May God bless us and help us to understand and to receive and to grow through it to his glory. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.